Well, let's just say it. If we would have known. Welcome in, Alright, well, nobody here today. That's okay. But that just means that it's time to light up the Friday Savinelli. Obviously, I'm not matches. Nor am I Zippo. I'm just some guy that was actually a lurker on John Harden's show quite often. Y'all never saw me because I didn't say nothing. I was trying to learn. Should have said some things. Didn't know enough to know what it was that I didn't know. At least I was smart enough to know I didn't know. Howdy Ronnie, howdy Chip. Great to see both of you. In case anybody's wondering, yes, 2 years ago was the anniversary of Match's last show. So today there's going to be a lot of people smoking their Savinellis, even here. There's going to be a lot of people feeling sad, even here. Ronnie, I was there too. I didn't say anything. I don't think anybody knew I was there. As I was just saying, I just sat back and listened and let the knowledge seep in, because there was a lot of knowledge there, and I didn't even know enough to know what questions to ask. I would have just fumbled bad, so I just stayed quiet, paid attention. And, because of that, I can't really say that I knew Matches. He never actually talked to me. I get that a lot, where people feel that the last one, the ending of the show, was off. I don't disagree with you. Hard to say. Hard to say. But let's see, in Matches 860 technical fashion, let's see here, it is about 54 degrees here in the 713. Skies are blue and pristine. No rain in the forecast, and definitely no snow. James! That's alright, James. Don't worry about that. I am not here for likes. I'm not here for subscribes. I'm not here for much of anything other than to give us a place to hang out, smoke a cigar or pipe, and talk amongst ourselves, and just basically enjoy our time with one another. And on a day like today, you kind of reminded that sometimes the time is short. Not for me. They're not going to kill me. Nobody's getting away from me. I'm coming back time after time. I'm like that bad penny. I will always return. Well, James, there will be entertainment. One cue bit the hell out of your tongue. Did you take the time to dry it for 3 days previous of smoking it? Or you can always take the expedient of put it in the microwave. No, drop it in the oven. Sweep that crap off into the trash can. That'll keep it from biting your tongue. Oh, you smoke it too fast also. Yeah, that will yeah. Oh, Ronnie, you're in the wrong channel for free prizes then. That crap does not hardly happen ever on this channel. Yes, as Cedric just said, by the way, howdy Cedric, you're not supposed to use your tongue as a tamper. Now, free prizes. To each and every one of y'all, I give you the gift of knowledge. I'm not sure about what kind of knowledge right now, but it's knowledge. You know, like the knowledge that I'm here for you. Sometimes people act weird about that statement. But let me elaborate a little bit. I'm at like 250 subs. That's what I'm at. The other day I noticed that James, right there, Dingus McSwine, has more subscriptions than I do. And my first thought was, rock on, Dingus. You go get them. Howdy, Martin. Great to see you, sir. That is size whatever the hell I want it to be. But when people want to know what it feels like to be passed up, I point people to Hobbiton Piper. He started, and like 5 days later passed me up, and a couple months after that he's already at 1,000 subscribers. I'll get to 1,000 subscribers like 3 days after they put me in the ground. Whatever. Not worried about trying to punctuate my prowess in front of this camera by having a ton of subscribers. James, that might be true. I don't do videos. Mostly because I go off on these wild tangents about various different things, and it's very difficult to do a video when you're also going to go off on some wild tangent. Turns what could have been a 5-minute video that would have gotten me a bunch of views into a 35-minute video that everybody's like, yeah, I'm not listening to this long-winded bastard. I don't blame you if that's the way you feel. Well, Martin, more people watch live streams when they happen, but for the most part, if you go by and you're like just scrolling through and you're like 5-minute video, okay, click, 2-hour video, okay, swipe. Howdy, Jeff. Great to see you, sir. And I mean, I hate to say this, but the average human attention span now is slightly less than the sex life of a gnat. It's not because I'm trying to be I'm not trying to be crude here, but let's be honest. The average attention span of most people just is pretty close to zero. I mean, I'm okay with that. I understand it. I get it. We're in a much faster paced society now than it was 20 years ago. And 20 years ago was a much faster paced society than it was 20 years previous to that. Go back 40 years. Think about it. The telephone was connected to the wall by a long-ass cord. If you had one that had a long-ass cord. There were no beepers and cell phones and stuff like that. Not in the hands of average people. I mean, there were people still out there using rotary dial phones back 40 years ago. Think about it. I know, because I had one. Now, everybody is instantly accessible because they've got these stupidity devices called smartphones. Howdy, Matthew. Great to see you, sir. Cedric, yes, I could repeat that. 40 years ago, you could be reached at home after business hours. Nowadays, everybody is instantly accessible on these idiot devices that they call smartphones. You think I'm lying? How many kids have actually looked up, using an encyclopedia, the information that they're looking for? Bullshit. They hit Google and go. They got a problem with a math problem, they type it into Google and it spits them out an answer. They want to figure something out that they don't have any knowledge about, straight to the smartphone. Tick, 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 tick. A couple of taps away and boom, they've got the answer right there in front of them. You know what's not being taught anymore? The ability to think for yourself. So if you're a parent and you're not teaching your kid how to think, and I'm not saying teach them how to think as in brainwash them, let them go ahead and make their own decisions, sure. And you know what? They're just like the rest of society, they're going to make mistakes. As long as they're not bad mistakes, they ought to learn and grow from it. As I was often enough told, and I've said it a few dozen times, and I've heard professional boxers say this plenty of times. It's not how many times you get knocked down, it's how many times you get back up. To which I always answer, one more. I know that the world's going to knock me down sooner or later, so what? You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get right back up. Well, James, the key there is you monitor everything that your school is teaching your children. And when it gets into that indoctrination stage, you go right into that principal's office and you ask the right questions. And the questions are not, what's with the indoctrination? Oh, no. The first question should be, would you like for me to go ahead and start whistleblowing on this? Or would you like to go back to teaching without indoctrinating? Because all it's going to take is the little proof that I've already got. And we're going to ruin some careers. And the feds can watch me all they damn well want. So what? Oh, yeah. Well, James, there are ways to do it. One is to teach your kid how to think before the teachers teach them what to think. And people think that I'm crazy when I say that, but for an example, my dad was Navy. His dad was Army. My dad was raised that in no way, shape, or form are you to judge people by the color of their skin. You're allowed to judge them on whether they do the job or not, but not on the color of their skin. My dad raised me the same exact way. I've been called racist many times, but I look at people and I go, prove it. Go ahead and prove that I'm racist, ever. Of course, I can show you a picture of my son and his wife. I'm proud of both of them. Let's just say she's a sister. But that was a way of teaching me to think for myself. Because I'm sorry, but there's a whole lot of Texas that was racist. I know this. And if I was hanging out with people that were showing racist tendencies, I knew enough to think for myself and be like, yeah, we can't hang. Sorry. Just, we can't hang. But it's the little things, and you teach. Parents need to teach their kids more than teachers need to teach their kids. Huva Ilta, Boris. Great to see you, sir. Oh, and Martin, in case you didn't see that, James wants to know, how do you deal with it with McFly? Because McFly's at that age where they're going to really start indoctrination. Let's see. Some of the things you do is you check the homework. You don't have to check it every night, but periodically you should at least go pick up the homework and see what they're asking. James, something tells me that doesn't really surprise me, that there is still a lot of racism all over the place. But right now, the world is trying to teach that let's push issues that's going to make racism more of an issue. Howdy, Zippo 765. Personal opinion. Critical race theory is basically the theory that all white men are completely racist and horrible people. Okay. My family picked cotton in the same fields, and they didn't get no 40 acres and a mule. They were sharecroppers. That's where I came from. But somehow my family's bad because they were too damn poor to afford their own fields and their own crops. They had to go out and beg jobs of picking from people who could actually afford the land, but maybe or maybe not anybody to work it. Well, that's horrible, Boris. Well, James, that's the thing. Critical race theory, if it's being taught in your school, you got to go ask them. Why are you teaching that it's okay to completely down on white people? And prove to them, case in point, that at least in your situation, that's not cool. Because whether they want to admit it or not, that's racism. Judging a person by the color of your skin is the epitome of racism. Judging a person by the origins of their nationality is just as wrong. Stuff like that leads to anti-Semitism. Hey, look, It was just National Holocaust Remembrance Day. Hey, Zippo, I got Irish on one side and I've got Italian on the other. I'm fairly certain that on the Italian side we were Dagos, not Wops. But you know what WOP stands for? Without pass. In other words, they jumped on a ship last second, and by the time anybody figured it out, they were too far out to sea to just ditch them. So my dad's side was the Irish sharecroppers. My mom's side was the Italian. Yeah. James, no, I did not see that. Go Quids! No, racism as a whole completely angers me. Whether it be Muslim on Kurdish, Pakistani hating on Afghanistani, Russians hating on whatever border that they're at right now, black on white, white on black, whatever. It's all forms of hate.
You're talking about Putin?
Oh, Putin's got his own version of hate. He hates any Slavic that's not his Slavic. Because if they ain't paying taxes to him, he doesn't like it.
He wants Russia to be the USSR again.
Oh, and remember, Holly's actually been to Russia and speaks Russian, so she probably has a pretty good idea of what she's saying. And hey, Zippo, don't worry, that's not a tinfoil hat statement. That's just kind of truth. Howdy, Doc. Great to see you, sir. Oh, nothing much. We're just me. I'm enjoying my Friday Savinelli with some nice temperatures and a crystal clear blue sky. Oh, and that Texas music that you hear, which is people with leaf blowers doing their lawn. Oh no, James, Holly has been here for several of my lives. She just normally says, "Shut up, don't talk to me. I don't want to talk to you." And then she tries to give me the evil eye, to which I laugh at because she doesn't have enough mean in her body to actually give me the evil eye and make me afraid of it. Till she picks up a firearm, and then well, yeah, that's the evil eye. So I know she's a damn good shot, and I don't have to worry about it. Oh, remind her that Texas does believe in common law. After 7 years, you're common law. That just means we've been together for, what, 11 years?
Too damn
almost. Did y'all hear it? She said too damn long. Howdy, Sharon. Great to see you, ma'am. Hopefully you're doing well. Howdy, Paul. Great to see you as well. Holly and I have a wonderful relationship built on masochism, I guess. She likes to feel like she's being punished, and
That is not true. They're gonna get the wrong fucking idea if you say shit like that. Don't even.
well, you heard it from her. I must have been lying. James says putting up with you should get her canonized.
I tend to agree with them.
I don't think sainthood is in her future. Yes, Morris, I do believe that the skillet is coming. But luckily, oh yeah, that's right. She does have an aluminum bat up there somewhere. Oh, wait, it gets even better. You know how some people have called her Mrs. Donald or Mrs. Voodoo or Mrs. Hughes, even though she's not. The other day, I take 2 of our cats up to the vet to go get their nails trimmed. Holly doesn't have the time to do it, and I'm not sure how to do it without hurting them. And so it's just better to take them up to the vet. So on my way out, they're like, "Thank you, mister," and they use her last name. "Your 2 cats are such good boys." Yeah. I came right home and told her because I was laughing about it. I giggle about it every time somebody calls me by her last name, thinking that yes, we're married and yes, we would have the same name. Now let's go back and rethink that. Holly works a job that she has a reputation as being a complete shark with blood all over the water. She tears into people left, right, and sideways, and I guess they must like it because they keep doing the same stupid stuff, which gets her to tear into them. But she has this reputation, and it's a great reputation for what she does. But if we got married and she took my last name, that reputation would go back to 0. And she would have to start from the bottom as if she was a nobody. Instead of being able to walk in, have this reputation, and everybody going like, "Oh, hell, it's her." When you work in the world of logistics, especially with dangerous goods and cargoes, that reputation for making another person go, "Oh, damn, I gotta back up. This ain't gonna be good. Don't get her upset." You know what? That's priceless. You can't earn that cheaply. You got to earn it the hard way. And to take that away from her just by saying she's got to have my last name? Hell no. She's keeping her own last name. She's got it. It's been hers for over 40 years. I'm not going to say how close to 50 years that she's had it, but it's over 40, okay?
Let's just say it's well established.
And in the field she's in, she's been doing it, what, 30-ish years?
30 plus.
Pretty close? Yeah. That would be stupid for her to take my name. And people think, oh, but y'all are married, so y'all got the same. No. But let's look at the other side of it. We got together much later in life than what most people are going to say is normal. We had already lived lives before we even met. And then we lived other lives after we met the first time. So, Paul, I'm not giving away her last name. That's the reason I worded everything exactly the way I worded it. James, that is very true also, and my sister went through that, and she's an engineer. She got married, and they dropped her back to a 0. She's now remarried, so she's on her second one, but she didn't change her last name because she's not going to drop again back to a 0. Quite honestly, I'm going to say I can't blame her on that one. Oh yeah, Zippo. There's a lot of women out there that they get through school or whatever, and they've got that career that they want, and they've got that degree that they need, and they've got that reputation and that respect, and they'll either choose to not take the last name, or they will choose to hyphenate. And quite honestly, I just Martin, actually James asked you what's it like in Georgia raising McFly with the current way that things are, and doesn't that bug you that they might be trying to indoctrinate your son? And how do you deal with that? Check that homework. Check that homework, because sooner or later they're going to send your kids home with homework. And some of the questions that are going to be on that homework is going to be very revealing. When they write a paper, read that paper. Let them turn it in just the way they wrote it. They might have some mistakes, sure, but a good teacher can see those mistakes for what they are and maybe help them. But you'll be seeing various different questions on their homeworks. And then watch what they answer on those questions. It's all a psychological game in my book. Of course, I can see the end result of things a little bit clearer, but that's because, well, like I said, electrician doing various things that were, look, if you don't pay attention, you'll get killed. So I pay a whole lot more attention than a lot of people. And Zippo, see, that's pretty much what I said also. Teach them how to think, not what to think. And anything they're interested in. And teach them how to research. That is one of those things that nobody really wants to teach, but how to research something. Not just look it up on Google, but, okay, well, we've researched it so far, now let's research it to all the way through. Yeah, Zippo, I'm right there with you. I'm guessing that last word would be earn, not ear. Keep what you ear. Unless, of course, your last name is Van Gogh. Uh-oh. All right. James, crack that whip and get on back here as soon as you can. Well, at least to Martin's show. And as I like to tell anybody who doesn't know about Martin's show, catch me if you can. Somebody's been watching that show for a little over 100 hours worth, as is verified by some sort of analytics device that Martin runs on his show. I think Boris is next with, I think he's in the 90s. Let's just say I've watched a whole lot of Martin's show. Even the goofy ones where he has nothing but malfunctions. It's always interesting. I hear you, Dingus. I hear you. I'm not saying anything about it, though. Everybody makes their mistakes. Am I saying beat your kid? Not as bad as I was beat, but reasonable spankings probably are not a bad thing. By the way, if you see me making a face, that's because this is an IPA. And until my wife either makes that Havarti pale ale bread that she read and said that she wanted to make, or one a month until they're gone, because that's as many as I can handle in a month. if I wanted stale, bitter beer, I would fucking take good beer and just leave it out in the sun till it turns stale and bitter. I've described it before, but IPA, India Pale Ale. It's because they used to ship beer all the way around the Horn of Africa and back to the British colony of India on sailing vessels, sometimes steam powered. Though the Suez Canal opened up about the same time as steam became mostly profitable. Oh yeah, pine cone cat pee. That's an accurate description there, Zippo. That is an accurate description. Hey, James. I understand. And my dad didn't stop until I was finally big enough to stop him. Ever since then, he's been a nice guy. But maybe it's because he realizes that after all the beatings I got dished out, if he takes another swing at me, I'm dishing back. Yeah. Not that I'm trying to say that I'm going to whoop the shit out my dad, but he knows I would if it came to that, so he stopped trying. Boris, I'm going to tell you, I love lots and lots of different beer. But IPA is the absolute worst, in my opinion. Now, granted, it's an opinion. It is just like pipe tobacco. I am betting there's people out there that think Largo is a marvelous pipe tobacco. Howdy, Steve. Great to see you, sir. I'm also willing to bet that there are people out there that think that Captain Black Grape is a marvelous pipe tobacco. I'm willing to bet that Steve is not one of those that thinks that Captain Black Grape is marvelous. Mostly because he likes his hair on top of his head, not on the butcher block. All right, James, you take care. I will definitely see you later this evening, sometime. And for all of y'all who are wondering why I'm smoking a pipe today, well, that's because it's the Friday Savinelli. James, if I can find Stone Cold Steve Austin's beer, I will get you some. Oh, yeah. Piper said, I'm going to tell you right now, Groovy Blue, oh, real cigar people are just like, oh no, don't even mention that stuff. Martin, you're not allowed to drink until they figure out what's wrong with you. Shorter list. What's right with Martin? That's okay. As I've said many a time, I'm so wrong that I'm literally the world's first and only colorblind Amish electrician. Craft beer cellar in Houston. I will have to look that up, James, but if I can find it, and I will be looking. You know I'm going to be looking. And Axelrad Beer Gardens is another. I have not been to either one, so I'm not sure. But beer gardens, I'm gonna bet you that's not a good place to ship from, because here in the Houston area, a beer garden is a place where you can buy a beer, but you got to drink it there. Right on, Steve. Now, there are various different All right, James, I'll look for it. I really will. I'm not going to look for it today, but I will look for it. I'll find it. I'll find it. Believe me, I'll find it. I understand that, James. Well, James, by the time I get done here, and then when I get done watching Martin's, it'll already be too late to go to any place that's decent to buy any kind of a beer. Plus, even if I tried to get it today, I couldn't get it shipped until Monday. I don't trust just any old shipping with beer. I have not tried any beer from Guardian. That doesn't mean that I've seen it either, though. It just means I haven't seen it, most likely. Howdy, Peter Piper. Great to see you, sir. Well, a light dusting of snow is not too bad for New York City this time of year. Oh. Okay, so what state is Guardian brewing from? That way maybe I can... I'm not asking for the hometown specifically, but which state? That way I know when to start, where to start. Indiana. Okay, Muncie, Indiana. Muncie, Indiana. I gotta tell you, I like how your team played the Jaguars on that last game. that statement almost made my eye twitch. I mean, isn't everybody at Indiana a Colts fan? Ah, thank you very much, Peter. This, of course, is the Friday Savinelli. Yes, that is a Savinelli Trevi 320 KS. More of a hockey fan. What's your team? I'll go ahead and admit it. I'm a Capitals fan. At least until the end of this Olympics. I always pick a player to follow in every Winter Olympics. And for 12 straight years, it was Oshie. Or not Oshie, but Ovechkin. And then it was the American Oshie. And then Oshie got traded to the Capitals like 3 weeks later. And I was right back to being a Capitals fan. So it was like, all right, well, I'm a Capitals fan. Oh, Flyers and Wings. I am so happy that my wife was not out here to hear you say Wings. She's a bit of a Michigan girl. Peter, I certainly will. Not that there's any question about that. I'm going to be looking over a bunch of the matches 860 tributes from today. Oh yeah. Flyers and Wings, that was a brutal rivalry for a long time. Go to see the fights and the hockey game suddenly breaks out. Oh, okay. I've been to a couple of Bruins matches. Games. What do we call hockey? Is it a game or a match? Peter, yes sir, that's correct. Match's favorite Savinelli shape was the 673. That's correct. I just don't happen to have one. I have a 320. But at least it's a Savinelli. So I'm trying to at least live as close to the memory as I can for right now. Fort Wayne Comets. Well, Houston used to have the Arrows, and that was as close to actual hockey as we ever got. And then the Minnesota Wild decided that they didn't want to have their IHL team in Houston anymore, so they moved them. Now, I only have one Savinelli, and I kept it to the Raiders colors, as you can see. And this little symbol here used to also be in silver. So as you can tell, this is actually a well-smoked pipe, and I do try to clean it, but I'm going to tell you, I have literally cleaned all the silver right out of the indentions. Note to self, don't use a toothbrush. Now I know. And the 673 does not quite fit my hand as well as the 320. But the 673 is, it really is a nice looking pipe. And Zippo, just in case, if you didn't know this or not, the Rossi pipes, if you add an 8 to the front end of any of your numbers, it is the Savinelli. And I wouldn't even call Rossi's a Savinelli second. It's, I think, maybe just a slightly lower grade of briar than what Savinelli would accept. But when you're buying in lots of by the ton, you're going to end up with some pieces that you're going like, yeah, this is slightly undergrade. And then you're going to end up with pieces that are like completely not acceptable. And sometimes you're going to end up with pieces that, oh yeah, it looked exactly like it's supposed to, and one hidden flaw as you drill in or as you clean it up. I know this because I've had some really nice looking briar blocks that I've tried to turn into pipes that all of them have some sort of flaw somewhere. And I'm just like, argh! But yeah, you just kind of have to do what you can. Boris, see, I'm right there with you. I like a big old gigantic bowl. That way I can sit around and smoke for a while. Oh yeah, sand pits, inclusions, voids, small crack. There could be any number of things. Something that they just decide is not going to make it in their actual lineup, and it can end up being either a Rossi or a third as long as it's still smokable. And sometimes you find out that perfect looking piece of briar has a fatal flaw, and it's destined for nothing other than the trash pile or the burn bin. Hey, we are talking about a chunk of wood that's been in the ground for its whole entire life. Shit happens. Well, I am a big fan of Englishes and Balkans. As we all know, I cannot tell you the difference between one Balkan or the other. I think we were all here for that life lesson the other week. I'm not going to disagree with you that, Peter. You're probably exactly right on that one. And I definitely agree with you that all the Savinellis, they smoke well. I've never heard anybody complaining about them. Oh, Steve, no, it was just a silver paint down inside of the Savinelli symbol. The metal band here, I've got some Brasso silver polish, and it does wonderful. If it gets yellow enough, I'm in there with a pipe cleaner and just cleaning it all out. Well, Zippo, sometimes you get a little bit of an off drill. I don't know why that is. Of course, I'm not a pipe carver. I'm just kind of a pipe shaper. How about that? To be a real pipe carver, you got to get around to drilling your own holes, right? And then making your own stems. I haven't done that yet. I get some hobby blocks. I do a little bit of work. So far, I'm just having fun with it. At some point, maybe I'll get around to actually carving pipes. Now, Derek, I'm going to tell you, you can get blocks to carve that already have a stem and already have the holes drilled. There are two places that I know to get them. Both of them you probably already use to get tobacco. One is Smoking Pipes. And people are going to go, wait, they have briar blocks for that you can get from Smoking Pipes? Yes, there are. They are in the gift section in all the drop-down boxes. Oh, so you can get them at Pipes and Cigars also. Okay, the other one, the one that I found just recently while I was looking through, was Tobacco Pipes. You know, the place that's owned by Sutliff. You got to look into their Molina Pipes. But they have Molina briar and stems ready to go. All you got to do is carve it out. Now, I will tell you, if you're going to do that, get some wood files. Because you are going to be going like, oh my God, this is way harder than you thought it was. And then take your time. Don't be in a rush. The other thing that you might want to pick up is some needle files. For when you get down into that, you got to get real close, and you don't want to have a big surface that you're doing. You want to just be able to take just that area where you're trying to work on it. Yeah. Little needle files. You'll find those real handy for shaping out a pipe and for shaping the button on a stem. And if you want to make it like a fish tail or whatever, if you're trying to really shape out a stem, those needle files work real well for that. Oh, Peter. I don't think I could have briar blocks just on my desk without already planning what kind of pipe it is. And I'm still just in the experimental stage. I'm not saying that I'm some sort of extraordinary pipe carver. No. I'm a hack. I can admit it. But I'm a hack with a plan, and I'm planning on getting better. Boris, a sanding disc would be nice, but it's not 100% necessary. But it would be nice. Don't knock it till you hack it. I was thinking more like Hacksaw Jim Duggan. And if James is still on here, he's smiling right now. Uh-oh. I've got an orphan cat up here trying to meow at the door. Give me a second, everybody. I gotta at least tell the family that there might be a cat that needs a plate of food. I found a Mikey at the front door. Okay, coming in. Get the room ready. Okay, I'm sorry. I apologize about that. Yes, there is a stray cat that shows up, and there is no way, shape, or form that Holly will let me just chase it off out of here so that it doesn't become our cat eventually. So, yay. Ah, yes. Patience and craftsmanship. That is definitely something to aspire to. And I'm going to tell you, don't get in a hurry. When you're still trying to learn, don't get in a hurry. And the other thing that I will say, and I don't want anybody to take this the wrong way, don't plan hard pipes. Stick with something that you can do. I will explain that. Diamond shanks are very difficult. I tried one. On the third pipe that I was ever going to do, I tried one. The first pipe I ever tried, I tried something way beyond my ability. The second pipe I ever did was just a very tall, stacked billiard. The fourth pipe I tried, which I'm still working on, is a 5-sided paneled billiard, and I'm going to tell you, straight, square, pristine edges are freaking hard. Getting things to fit what's in your mind's eye is very hard. Practice on the easy ones first, because you'll be happier with what you end up with. And then ease into the harder shapes. I'm not trying to tell people to do that because I don't think that you can do it. No, I'm trying to tell you that the 7 or 8 really nice looking pipes that you can turn out so much faster than you can do these fancy ones that are really difficult while you're still just trying to learn, are going to be so much more satisfying than a failed attempt at something fancy that you just said, I'm going to try it. Andrew Cerigliano, howdy sir, great to see you sir. I'm thinking Andrew could probably back me up on this. Start with simple shapes. Once you've mastered a couple of simpler shaped pipes, then start moving into the harder shapes. The squares and the angles, the things that you have to keep exactly straight. You would never believe how hard that is with briar. But you get one soft spot and that line can shift or wiggle or whatever you're wanting to call it. Or you get one sand pit in just the wrong spot and you're practically having to scrap the whole pipe because aesthetically it will no longer work. It is just, I'm trying to be helpful here. I'm not trying to I'm not trying to discourage you. If you want to make the fanciest, craziest looking pipe on the planet, you go right on out there and do it. So Andrew's already backing me up on this. And I'm not trying to be discouraging at all. No, in fact, I'm just trying to say, look, there are some things that are out there that you can do that unless somebody tells you that it's a lot harder than it looks, you'd think, oh yeah, I can knock this out. Sure, no problem. And then you get into it and you're like, crap. Now what do I do? Do I just scrap the whole thing? Is all of that work a complete waste? And I would hate for anybody to fall into those traps the way I did. And I fell into them. Oh yeah, I mean, but not only did I fall in, I jumped in with both feet, and I practically went head first into most of it. Yeah. I probably should have listened and asked a whole lot more questions. But I will say it was fun. It was fun. Did I screw up some stuff? Yes, I did. Okay. Like I said, I'm somewhere in the middle of working on pipe 3 and pipe 4. Andrew's telling you he's already done with 26 pipes. And that he's not even trying to do panels and stuff like that yet. I'm guessing he asked some questions and somebody said, yeah, that's a whole lot harder than it looks. I wish I had been smart and asked some questions. No, I saw other people's work and I was like, I've got to try it. I just want to know if I can do it. Yeah. I'd also really like $1 million and to never have to work another day in my life. We're not seeing those results either, so okay. So we passed halftime. By the way, just because, we'll go with bowl call. Wow, that was unimpressive. Equally unimpressive. Let's try it one more time. Bowl call. There we go. Something that actually kind of goes ding. What are you smoking in? What are you smoking it in? Woo, Steve. I would be willing to say that your one ugly one is probably just as pretty as my first one, which has 2 gigantic fills in it because I couldn't do anything else with it after I got to that point. In case y'all are wondering, this is a Punch Classico. It's one of the smaller cigars because I don't have but a little bit over an hour until Matt should be on. Oh, very nice. A custom Virginia Perique blend in a Nordine Eric the Red Poker. Very nice. Thank you, Andrew. I appreciate the nice statements there. Oh, just smoked a Punch 180 Anniversario. Very nice. Yes, the Anniversario is quite a long smoke. This is only a little more than an hour. If I really huff on it, I can probably squeeze that into inside of an hour, but I'm not going to be huffing on it that hard. All right, Piper said's got H&H chestnut and a Savinelli bones. Very nice. Uh-oh. Steve's doing it right. Haunted bookshop in his Matches tribute pipe. Yes, Zippo, I do believe you are correct. Sage advice. Now, if anybody who's out there says their first pipe was so beautiful it was ridiculous, I'll let them say it. Uh-oh, Morris is going to stuff a pipe. That's always a good thing. Andrew, as far as my recommending of any kind of cigars, it always depends upon who I'm recommending them for and what their personal palate is. Because I could recommend what I like, and it could be completely wrong for your palate, and you're going to think that I am nothing but a hack. Yes, Zippo, that is a helicopter. Somebody's getting the most expensive ambulance ride in the world pretty soon. Oolong tea, oh no. Yes, I know. The closest thing you can have to amber fluids right now is tea. So fun with that. Oh, very nice, Zippo. Got your Roma Lucite 673 with some Haunted Bookshop in the lineup. I do expect a whole lot of 673s this evening. Peter, you're very correct on that. It's not overpowering. It does have a little bit of a pepper and faint touches of cocoa and a little bit of leather, at least to my palate. As far as strong, no, not really. But satisfying for what it is. Not an expensive one, but if you're hanging out with friends and you're just wanting to have a cigar, it works very well for that. And oh, very nice, Peter. Very nice. Now, the reason why I am so very particular about what I suggest to people with cigars is because I worked in a cigar shop. I've mentioned that several times. And it was always my goal to try and find the next better cigar for that person. And once I knew approximately what a person's palate was, it was easy for me to suggest things as I tried them myself. Okay, so you liked this, and this is very similar to this, so we'll give that a shot. And sometimes I was right and it was a much better cigar for that person, and sometimes I was wrong. I'm not going to say I'm perfect at that, but for quite some time I was real good at being able to keep it within a tolerable limit of how far I could push their palate. By tolerable limit, I mean like, okay, they're catching a little bit of leather and they don't much care for leather. But it was just a little bit, so it was acceptable. It's something like that. I mean, I wouldn't take a Padron smoker and try and get them to smoke an acid. Two good cigars, complete other side of the universe as far as it goes. Okay, Maduro and San Andreas wrappers. There is one from Crown Heads called Juarez that I thought it was great. And that is a Maduro with a San Andreas wrapper. Steve, that's not a bad thing. Yeah, I didn't really catch any espresso bitter. Maybe a thin underlying coffee in the Juarez. You'll know it because it'll have a bull on the box. White box, black bull. And it's made by Crown Heads. And there's a lot of cigars from Crown Heads I like, but very few that I'm just absolutely telling someone, hey, all right, so that's what you like, try this. Oh, Cedric, I don't know. I smoked bad cigars so that I could tell people about the cigars that they smoked. And quite honestly, it was so much more like I was trying to figure out what you said you were enjoying so that I could figure out a way to broaden your horizons so that you could enjoy more than just one stick. And quite honestly, there's a lot of people out there, they get one stick that they like and they never touch another one. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you're saying you just like it, not really love it, you know what? That's where a good tobacconist can really shine. He can find you, okay, well, these are the tastes and flavors that you're saying you like. Oh, you need it a little stronger. Okay, well, let's do that. Or you need it a little lighter. We can work with that too. Oh, but you don't care for, let's say you don't like cedar. Okay, well, let's pull back away from these certain cigars and let's push these other cigars up in front for you so that you can taste cigars that are going to be closer to what you really like. And anybody who works in a cigar shop, as Peter has just mentioned, they are a little bit of a cigar sommelier. But they have to smoke everything. You can't just go and work at a cigar shop and say, I'm just going to smoke the cigars I like and, basically to hell with my customers. their palate doesn't match anything like mine. I'm still just going to suggest the cigars I like. I've been into cigar lounges like that, and I don't tend to go back to cigar lounges like that. Quite honestly, one of my favorite cigars is one of my least recommended cigars. I am a huge fan of the Alec Bradley Black Market. I love that stick. It's great for me. Smooth, easy. You don't have to really be paying attention to it. Ah, Black Label Trading. Very nice. Okay. Oh, yeah. Now, the Prensado Lost Art is probably one of the best sticks I think Alec Bradley's ever produced. The Prensado, not the Prensado Lost Art. It was Cigar of the Year in like 2004 or something like that. It's been a while. It's been a long time since it was Cigar of the Year. But whenever it first came out, it was Cigar of the Year. And that episode almost ruined Alec Bradley. Because nobody told him that it was going to be Cigar of the Year. And previous of it being called Cigar of the Year, due to what they were selling at the time before the article came out, they had 6 to 9 months worth of cigars already made, ready to go. And they had another 6 months finished rolling and already in the aging room. So they were good. They had a full solid year worth supply. No problem. Then that article came out and they had 6 minutes worth of supply total, including what was in the aging room. Yeah. So they started speeding up their production, and they ended up with a lot of issues. And like I said, it almost ruined Alec Bradley. And that's why you'll never see another Alec Bradley up in those lists again. They don't even submit their cigars for those lists anymore. Now, one of my favorite Black Market, this was a Gordo. That is my hand holding a Alec Bradley Black Market Gordo. And for anybody who understands what they're seeing right there, if you look above the cigar, you will notice the line of smoke coming up. And if you look at my hand, you will notice that there is very little room left for me to smoke that cigar. Yeah. Andrew, that is without doubt one of my favorite pictures. And I've been doing that with the Alec Bradley Black Market when I can sit in a controlled environment. And people just stare at me like as if I'm doing something magic. And I'm like, no, I know how to do this. And then when I show them turning the cigar sideways and show them the ash is hanging on there, when it's literally, there's nothing left of the cigar but just ash. And people have said, oh yeah, you're taking a paper clip and inserting it. I'd never do that. I would never do that. It's a trick I've heard some people do, including Churchill. Yes, Winston Churchill. But for me, it was all just the fun of seeing, can I get that ash to hang out there like that? And yes, I can. Well, Peter, that's where a lot of people get it wrong. But you are correct, sir. You're not overheating the cigar. You're not huffing on it. At most, you're taking 3 puffs at a time. And then you wait for it to cool off to the point where it is almost stops smoking. And you want to keep it pointed straight up. Those 3 puffs, and you wait. Yes, you can do 1 minute per puff if that's what works best for you. And depending upon the size of the cigar, you can go out to 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes. But you got to keep just enough of it lit so that you can keep it burning. It's not all that hard, really. But you have to be able to keep your hands steady. And you have to be able to just enjoy a real slow smoke. Now, can I do it right here? No, too much wind. Wind will affect it. But if you have a slow, steady smoking cadence, and you can position your body so that you're not making any kind of movements that are unnecessary, you'll be just fine. And yes, I've heard all kind of, oh, that's trick photography. Oh, that's this, that's that, that's this other. No. In fact, I will tell you how precarious that picture was. I held it out sideways. The guy who took the picture took the picture. I picked it back up, took 2 puffs, held it back over the ashtray, and it fell off. It was that close to not happening. So sometimes pictures like that are just plain luck also. But yeah. Why is the Alec Bradley Black Market my favorite cigar? Because I like it. Is it the best cigar I've ever had? No. Not even close. But if I can figure out fast enough that someone's palate mirrors mine enough that I think they would enjoy it, I'll mention it to them. And then, of course, it's up to them to decide that it's yes or no. It's, their pocketbook. I'm not going to spend your money for you. But you know, like where John Harden had all this pipe knowledge and was constantly giving it away and putting it out there for people to use, I got a lot of cigar knowledge. And I didn't see any reason to keep it all to myself. Howdy, Matt. Great to see you, sir. How are you doing? Cedric, are you talking a stick like this, the punch, or are you talking the Alec Bradley that I showed you? This is, let's state this as Texas prices. They're going to differ wherever you are unless you're here in the Houston area. This is a little less than $5. Oh, Peter, thanks for being here. Been very nice having you here. You're always welcome. Be safe, and we look forward to seeing you on all the other lives as well. The Alec Bradley in Texas is right around $10 to $11. Of course, that's a Gordo. That is 6 inches long and 60 ring gauge. And I will also tell you that you are going to want to punch that cigar if you're going to try and do what I did. And if you're looking for that specific punch, check out Cigar and look for the spark plug punch. That way you'll know what size. You don't have to use the Cigar, but I do because, in my opinion, it was the best punch on the market. My punches are old and still sharp, so you call it the way you want to. That IPA is still horrible. It's like grapefruit dipped in kerosene. Only way you're gonna like that beer is if you can't have good beer. Just my own opinion. Well, Matt, then the crack is plenty good tonight. Of course, we are kind of more or less all remembering John Harden in our own way. If you don't know who that is, that would be Matches 860. Very rarely does anybody ever see me smoke a pipe on a live, mostly because cigars are easier to do during a live, but I did smoke this earlier. That's the only Savinelli I've got. I'm not going to try and make that crap up. I'm not going to say, oh, that's the actual Friday Savinelli. No, that's a 320, not a 673. Oh, adhere it a little bit. We should be going over to visit with another Matt. That would be Matt Glumchum Piper, also known as Doug's son. Of course, if I look at that right, does that mean that he's on in 3 minutes, or does that mean he's on in a... Can someone remind me when Matt jumps on? I'm having an older aged moment where I've suddenly lost the exact thought that was going through my head. Time. So I don't remember time exactly perfectly anymore. Certain numbers don't have any meaning for me. 6:30 Eastern, which would be 5:30 my time. Okay, so that's about 30 minutes. I was right. Okay. By the way, howdy Phil. Great to see you, sir. Yes, but I'm not going to sing that song because I would not do it justice, and that's just because my singing voice doesn't hit those notes. Never could hit those notes. And thank you, Phil, again. I do appreciate the help on reminding me that it's 30 minutes out. Okay. By the way, I am not telling anybody where to go to do any kind of John Harden Matches 860 memories. Glumchum should be on at 6:30 Eastern, which is in about 30 minutes. His show ends at about the same time as Cane Rod will be doing a Matches 860 memorance show, and All Briared Up John will also be doing an Matches 860 remembrance show. I don't think that you're going to be disappointed with either one. It might be difficult to listen to both at the same time, but I'm putting it out there that there are definitely going to be more than one option for this evening at the 8 o'clock Eastern time frame. Everybody can remember him and mourn or rejoice knowing him, or however you choose, whether it be that you get sad or do what the Irish would do and have yourself a wake, a couple drams of some scotch and you're good to go. Yes, Matt, Glum should be starting in at about 30 minutes from now. have a lot of crack. I choose to view things in the way of the Irish and Scottish, which is part of my heritage on my dad's side. I don't mourn the loss. I rejoice in the fact that I ever got to know him in the first place. Matt, the only thing I could get to was on my dad's side, going back to the name Younger, which then traced back to the name Younger, or at least I believe it's pronounced Younger, and they tended to wear all Ireland blue. And the Hughes name came through from the Welsh, which would explain the family ability to sing. I'm not going to sit there and try and sing for y'all right now, but then again, also, there is certain songs I sing well, and I'm pretty sure that y'all don't want to hear them. Yes, Matt, I believe you've got the right of it there. And I'm not trying to make this stuff up. I was only able to trace the family back on my dad's side only so far, and most of it, as soon as they got to the United States, they took on United States names and they disappeared into the countryside like a fart in a hurricane. Let's just say they decided it was not going to be one of those things that was going to identify them. But that old Irish fighting temper, that stayed true. That stayed true. That's correct. I had to actually trace back the Hughes name, not from any direct documentation of immigration, but by being able to pick up family traits that were in Ireland and Wales at roughly the correct time of when the people that were my people must have left to be where they were in America when they finally basically reappeared. Most of the birth records were just carried in a big honking Bible and passed down from generation to generation, and not all of them were as Christian as they might have been. So there's a lot of records there that just gone. Well, Steve, you're just mean enough to ride bulls, aren't you? The answer to that is yes, Steve was mean enough to ride bulls. I'm just not sure if the bull thought he was mean enough or Steve thought he was mean enough, but pretty sure y'all get the point. I have never been able to wear a flat cap or a newsboy. It just does not feel right for me. Matt, I'm sure that there should be more than 32 million Americans that are from Irish ancestry. But you're right, there's those that are claiming. I claim it because I was able to trace the family name of Younger back to Ireland, which, like I said, there was a Y here in America and there's a J there in Ireland, but it's the same exact spelling, and there's a lot of the family names that were I mean, there must have been a million Michaels. And Cole and James and various different other names that are just so... And then you don't hear them in the next town over. Nobody with that name in this town. 2 towns over, though, you'll find all kind of people with that same exact first name there. It got pretty obvious where the family came from, basically. Well, thank you, Matt, for helping to reaffirm that. There's, there are some very common names in Ireland that are, it'd be like someone named John Smith here in America. And it's when you get to those not so common names and you trace those back that you start seeing, oh, that's a passed down family name. And a lot of it was actually the female names. It'd be the first and second name in the same exact order, time after time after time. And that was the easiest way to trace that back for me. Paul, you're from way South Ireland. How far South Ireland is London, by the way? Okay. Andrew, yeah, I mean, that happened a lot. On my mom's side, they're Italian. But they changed their name to French because Italy was having a real hard time immigrating to America. So a family that lived real close to the border of Italy and France moved over to the France side, changed their name to a French name, and then poof, right on over to America. No problem, because the French were being accepted like crazy at the time. So I kind of lost track of my mom's side of the family. They're somewhere near Milan, but I can't right off the top of my head. I mean, I did a whole lot of work on trying to figure it all out at one point in time. I had a stack of paper that must have been 1.5 inches thick by the time I finished. Oh yeah, my mom's family, they sounded like such good people. They were artisans and craftsmen and stuff like that. And my dad's side of the family were outlaws and fighters and crazy people. Let's just say I get along with my dad's side of the family a whole lot better than I did with my mom's. And you know what? No big deal. When I explained to people that, yes, my mom's last name was French, and then they look at all the pictures of the men on her side of the family, and they're like, yeah, you're Italian. And she would just go, but the last name is Clifton friggin' Higgins. Howdy, sir. Great to see you. Well, did you tell him to get a Traeger? Sorry, I answered Martin's statement or question. Not a problem. Not a problem, Matt. Anybody show me somebody who's perfect in this room, and I will call you a liar. And as I said before, not too long ago, the only person I've ever heard of that was perfect willingly jumped up on a cross just so that I could make all the mistakes I'm ever going to make. Been pickling eggs all afternoon. Woo! Sounds like you're going to be having a good time here in about a couple of weeks. You told him to get a smoker. It's always a good choice. That's very possibly true there, Zippo. Come on, Paul. Nobody was perfect. Nobody that I ever met, anyways. That is also true, Steve. there's lots of ways that names have been changed. Not a problem, Andrew. Great to see you. Come back often. And just remember, Glumchum's going to be on here in just a little bit. And then John at All Briared Up and Cane Rod Piper will both be doing a Matches tribute show. And we should be having Martin back on. Maybe with some more birds. We all know his show's for the birds. Perfectly quiet when dead. Yeah. All right, I give you that one. Haunted pirate ship. I like it. Boris, you've never tried a pickled egg. Well, if you come to America, we'll have to change that. Very true, Andrew. Very true. Oh, Cliff, there's many a things out there on this planet that are really, really damn good with a beer and really horrible without one. That describes most of life as I know it. And me, I've got a little hoodie tucked in under this jacket because I didn't know if it was going to get cold or not sitting on this front porch. Oh no, Century eggs are not pickled eggs. Those are just rotten. We're not even going to talk about Century eggs. Well, Matt, we grew up in a land of plenty. Problem is, sometimes it was so plentiful at one point in time and going to be real thin a little bit later. So we learned to pickle just about everything. I think America is probably famous more for pickles than anything else. Zippo, that would work. Now, if you take that Maker's Mark and you use just an orange rind and a sugar cube and about 3 to 5 dashes of bitters, then you got yourself an old-fashioned. Yummy. Well, Cliff, unless you have somebody to bake all day, every day, yeah. 8 to 9 eggs a day is a lot. Of course, you do have kind of a big family. So that should help. But you can only eat so many eggs before you just get sick of them. That's fine, Matt. I'd even be good with a nice piece of haggis right now. Of course, I've actually eaten food from all over the planet. And one of the things my dad was at least good enough to do was to beat me senseless if I didn't try somebody else's food without prejudice. So then I learned to stop asking what it is. Try it, and if you like it, then ask what it is. And if you don't like it, be like, oh, that was great. And then on your way home, go get something that you do like. But I've tried so many wonderful things because the rule was always give it a shot before you just say hell no. Century eggs are one of those hell no's. Shouldn't nothing be in an egg for a century. Jabes, don't get on to Cliff that you're not living a whole lot closer to him than you should be. I'm sure if your section of Kentucky was a whole lot closer to his section of Arkansas, he would be glad to hand you a couple of dozen eggs on a regular basis. And Cliff, I won't get sunset until I'm already off of here. Matt, I'm pretty much right there with you. I mean, I don't have any chickens or laying hens here where I live, but I've gathered eggs plenty enough times to know the fresher you can get them, the better off they taste. Just is what it is. Southern, you're definitely right. Eggs age a whole lot more like warm milk. They go pretty sour if you don't consume them inside of a certain amount of time. Cliff, it will happen. Hopefully. And Cliff, you live close enough to Muletown, you should go to that. Then it would be a right special time. Well, James, you can pickle eggs and store them for up to a year. But even then they start going funny by about 10 months in. Of course, with my family, I never had to worry about it that way. Southern, I'm going to keep my hands down on that one, mostly because I know that I'm not going to be able to go. That's happening in March, and I would have to have a job for 6 months before I can actually plan on doing something like that. So even if I had one, if I got one right now today, I still wouldn't have everything for me right enough that I could say, oh yeah, I'm gonna go away for a weekend. James, we're gonna be praying for you, brother. Cliff, I'm right there with you. like I said, with my family, we never had to worry about that 10-month thing. 10 minutes was closer to it. We didn't let good food go to waste. We figured out a way to eat it. Woo, $300 a night. That is getting pretty pricey. But you can probably get something, say an hour and half away for a more reasonable price. All right, somebody put in where Muletown is exactly. I believe it's Tennessee. But it's going to be the Muletown Pipe Show. Oh, we got about 2 minutes left. All right, so y'all remember, give thanks for knowing Matches at all if you knew him. If not, subscribe to his channel and watch a whole lot of back issue videos. I think you'll enjoy yourself. Pretty much everybody I know who enjoys a pipe enjoys hanging out with Matches. Columbia, Tennessee, south of Nashville. Okay. Yeah, that's just a short drive, Southern. That's not bad at all. 2.5 hours. Just don't do too much drinking while you're there, and you should be fine. Yeah, us Southerners kind of think alike. We tend to like a little bit of something to consume while we're consuming our tobacco products. All right, so y'all be watching for when Matt goes live so I can dump this live feed and get us all over there. That's what tailgatings are for. Hang out, get to the next show. Just like college football tailgating. Part of the fun is the tailgate. But really what you're there to do is see the next show. I don't mind. I like tailgating. That's where you get to hang out and be yourself and not have to put on airs for anybody and get to just sit around with people you really enjoy their company. You don't necessarily have to be related, but you end up being family anyways. Oh, by the way, if you're not subscribed to the YTPC mail list over on the Briar Report, you should do that. You don't get bombarded by mail. He sends out one little quick thing. You can just scroll right through it. Couple minutes, you can be all the way done with it, and it gives you a good indication of what's coming up in the day. And of course, there's also the blob, which is the Briar Report blog. For me, it's one of the first things I do in the morning. And then I razz Phil about it all day if I can. I think now he's starting to expect it. Glum just went live. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends of all ages, as long as you're over 21, and thank y'all for being here. I appreciate it. It was great having this time with y'all. And as always, remember, take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Do the best you can with that. And as like I've always said, long lives, big bowls, and long ashes. Y'all take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.